I'm Kathy Grant. I work with the Hand Up, and it was out of our meeting 2 months ago with Joseph, and all the Hand Up people are here. Where are you? Pick up Nancy and Virginia Snyder's group, and we meet monthly, and I really would like to invite the energy that's in this room to our monthly meetings, because I think you're now kind of getting to see the tip of the iceberg, which is really an onion, as you peel back all the different issues that people in the community are dealing with the homeless. And our group has been meeting now for 3 years, I think. We meet on the first Wednesday of the month at Uptown Thrift, and we send out, I try to summarize our meeting every month, and we try to bring in speakers and keep ourselves educated and aware of what's going on in the community. It's complex, it's complicated, it's about people to people, it's about our community, it's about knowing what resources are out there, it's about not enabling the homeless person to abuse himself, by handing out money and watching them go get a drink. It's about tough love. It's about having a backbone. It's about seeing homeless people and their needs. It's not about ignoring them and looking through them. It's about opening your home. It's about being friends with people. And so I thank Joseph for bringing this meeting to the public. There's people here that I've never seen before, and that's really cool. And there's a lot of old friends in here too. So I really hope that this is not just about a once-a-year event, but that this momentum comes out of this group, and that we get together monthly and educate each other, tell stories, and then form that circle around people in our community that really need other people to.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah.
Thank you for your. Any other comments from the audience?
My name is Jonathan Strong. I'm a registered addiction specialist. I'm with the Salvation Army as a case manager, but I'm not necessarily speaking for them. My brother Michael had a good idea. What he's doing with his family, he's bringing people into their homes. Seems like what I'm hearing over and over is housing. If there's 400 homeless people in this community, if some loving people, I know there's tons of churches in Lodi, if there's some loving people that could take somebody into their home, that can be case managed by some of these organizations, Gravity Church, Uptown Thrift, Salvation Army. Maybe somebody could provide a home, something stable, so they can be case managed by some other facilities to maybe kind of a bridge into maybe a more long-term solution. But that's just a quick idea that I had listening to things tonight. And I am also in agreement that we do need a detox facility. I send some people for detox all the way to the Bay Area. It's the only free detox we have in Northern California, close by.
I don't think there's any question as to whether we need a detox facility. I think the question is, one of the questions is, how do we fund it? How do we build it? And who do we get to do all of the work that's required to build a detox facility? And all of that takes money that we don't have, or the government certainly doesn't have it. And I'm sure that you can't get enough volunteer money to build something like that.
Well, I'm an optimist. I think that we could. I really do. I believe that San Joaquin County, Lodi in particular, is. My great uncle was a surgeon here. My family's been here for years, and I believe it's possible. I think getting the press involved, like these amazing people that are here today that found out about this through the newspaper, I think it's possible, absolutely. And maybe not funding a lot of volunteers would have to be. Let's say a doctor volunteer, somebody that's willing to take the insurance risk. I'm sure it can happen. Yep. I know it can.
It can, Jonathan, and I think you're good testimony for that to happen.
My name is Tammy Watson, and I am the founder of Sunday Supper Ministries. I attend Faith Community Church, and today is my 21st anniversary as an employee at Lodi Memorial Hospital.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I see this from a lot of different aspects. As far as an employee from the hospital, we get our bi-weekly financial letters, and 1 month we lost 1.7 million. As far, we had one person within the homeless community that was a self-pay. 1.7 million was his bill. That was for 1 month for one person. And we continue to see month after month, year after year, an increase in the number of people that don't have health care and they're losing their jobs, they're losing their homes, they're in on the streets. We're seeing an increase of visits from patients. Personally, I see in the emergency room the same faces coming in that are homeless, and they're seeking medical care, they're seeking shelter, they're seeking whatever it is that they're in need of on that particular day. And that increases. From the ministry standpoint, a year and a half ago, March, I got on the phone and I called a few people that I knew from work, from church, just friends, and a group of about half a dozen of us showed up at Lawrence Park one Sunday with food. We fed about a dozen people, and we did that for about 6 months, 5 or 6 months, and then I got up at church and I announced the ministry, and 12 people signed up to help me that day, including 2 co-leaders. And we have been at it now for a little over a year as Sunday Supper Ministries, and some of the faces on both sides of the table have changed, but what hasn't changed is there's always someone at both sides of the table. There's always someone serving, and there's always someone needing to be served. And what we have realized on a personal note is we have become emotionally invested in their well-being. There are individuals that we look for when we get to the park because we know that they're going to be there. We know they're going to be in need, and we know that what we can do that day is give them something to eat. And if they don't know where they're going to sleep that night, or if they don't know what's going to happen the next month, they can't think beyond that meal.
Is that bad?
It's sad. It's a sad reality that they can't invest any farther in their future than what meal they're going to get at the park that day, or where they're going to find a place to lay their head. And there are groups that will look out for one another. And if someone isn't there for a couple weeks, we'll ask, and they'll say, well, we haven't seen them. Or, oh, they're doing better. Or, oh, they got into a room. Trying to get someone into a room. There's not much in Lodi that you don't have to go to Stockton to lay the groundwork for. You have to go to Stockton. They will take a bus in the evening and stay overnight to get in line at 2 o'clock in the morning down at the social services office in Stockton, because if you're not there before dawn, you won't get probably seen that day. If you have an appointment, you're still going to sit there for 3 or 4 hours at least and go to 3 different windows and speak to 3 or 4 different people, and then be told that you have to come back every week or every month and turn in paperwork and check your mailbox, and you have to have some sort of mailbox or phone number or some way to be reached, or your benefits will not continue. So you get on a bus in the evening and stand in line all night long, and you have to do this every week, and you have to keep up, and there's nowhere in Stockton, outside of Stockton, is in Lodi. So all the people that may want help in Lodi, they still have to get themselves to Stockton. And people like Dennis, from time to time, are able to help them get there. But not everyone has the transportation. And they can get a bus voucher for $1.25. But they still have to have the $1.25, they still have to get there, they still have to get back. In 2005, I was part of a mission trip that went to Romania through Assist International. And they had a fantastic program. They addressed the issue of teen orphans. The statistic there was something like around 80% of the orphans, when they left the state orphanages, ended up on the street in prostitution or drugs. And what Assist has done is go in and they build housing, they built family homes. And with the increasing numbers of young people coming into Lawrence Park that are homeless, one thing that needs to be changed is something has to stop before they get there, when they're still young enough to be stopped, before they get into their 20s and 30s and 40s and are still on the street. But that was a team of volunteers, and the churches got together, which each church or Rotary Club that went, and they paid for one house to be built. The project I worked on was the teen house. We had 8 apartments for teens, and they transitioned with a house manager or house parent. The arrangement is they have to go to school and or work. They have to provide for half of their expenses, and over time, every 6 months, the amount that they are supplemented is reduced. They have to go through life skill training. And it's to get them on their feet so that when they leave, they are self-sufficient, they know how to run a household, they are in a stable environment, they're not going to the drugs and prostitution and alcoholism that many of their peers are going to. And to see any kind of transition program where there is support on site, like an apartment manager, and there is training, would be an amazing thing in different aspects. And when Dan was talking about how when they come into the thrift store and they get a change of clothes, they have that sense of ownership, they chose it. When you see groups like Habitat for Humanity, where the people who are going to be in the homes are invested in helping create that home to begin with. How many properties do we have empty in Lodi that are in foreclosure that can be purchased at auction for pennies on the dollar? That if the community, and when I called 4 people and then suddenly I had 20 people a few months later, the people are out there. All it takes is a call or a word that says, this is what we need. And the number of times that I've had people that have come out with our group and left and said, I had no idea how much that was going to change me for 1 hour in the afternoon. The population of Lodi could do amazing things. And the people at the park need to want it. But until there is a repeated presence, and they know that you're there, they know that you care, they know that you're not going to leave them, abandon them, or dump them like many others have done along the way, they need to know that they can trust us. They need to know that we're going to be in it for the long haul and not that we're going to look for a quick fix, because there is no quick fix. So the investment has to be there, and they have to see it as much as we have to be willing to give it.
First off, I'd like to say it's very commendable about what you guys are doing, and I'm really impressed with how you guys work together. But in the same breath, I'm somewhat disappointed that this is all it is. You know, I mean, this is a town of, what, 62, 66,000 people, something like that? I mean, there's practically a church on every corner. We got major businesses. You got Kubota, Milas Modular, Michael David Winery, General Mills. You know, we got large corporations in this town. And I guess it's going to take somebody to try to organize all this, you know, and who that person's going to be, I don't know. Maybe it's going to have to be all of us. You know, but to me, it seems like if we want housing, there's going to have to be a coalition of 15, 20 churches, of corporations investing in this. It's going to take citizens of this town to invest in the structure. We're not going to get it from the city of Lodi. You know, we're not. And to sit back and hope and count on that, to me, is false hope. You know, and to open up the homes. You know, I don't know how we're going to do it or who's going to spearhead it, but right now, you see 5 or 6 different organizations doing all of this, you know, when there's probably 100 organizations in this town that would be willing to help out, but just don't think about it. You know, Lodi's about the haves and have-nots. If you live on the west side of the tracks, you don't see what's going on the east side. You know, I've grown up in this town. I know how it rolls, you know. And as a committee, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to bring everything up front. We're trying to get the community to notice what's going on. We're trying to inspire people to volunteer, inspire people to help out. And much beyond that, I mean, we feel like you guys do, like our hands are tied. That's why Bob was saying, you know, he doesn't know what our role is. You know, we just want to be the ignition point that maybe gets something going. You know, and if we can get behind and push on something, we will. You know, but much beyond that, we're in the same boat that you guys are. So we're just going to have to band together and maybe have another meeting like this in another month or two, and everybody go their separate ways and figure out, hey, let's everybody go away and think about a plan that we can do. You know, maybe we can go knocking door to door to every church in town. You know, maybe we can go knocking on doors at the corporations, the businesses. You know, I mean, we got Lowe's, we got Walmart. I mean, you think about it, and they're endless. You know. And supposedly all these stores and companies, when they come build here, like, part of the thing is they want to help the community, you know. They're bringing jobs, they're bringing, you know, and somebody mentioned that the Lodi Hotel, that there's people that would rather be homeless than stay at the Lodi Hotel. Okay, to me, that's irresponsible development. Okay, if anybody knew anything about the developer that built that project, they would have went down to Stockton and see the 4 places he owns down there that are just crack houses, and you know, they would have went up to the ones in Sacramento and looked at the places that he built up there, and they would have never allowed him to build something like that. You know, I mean, it's a nice thought, but unless you're going to have a responsible developer coming in and building something that's going to be held accountable for something, it's kind of a wash. You know, we'd be better off with everybody dumping money into Salvation Army and expanding their facility. You know, so those are just some of my thoughts. So hopefully we can all take that and build off it.
One other thought that you might want to incorporate, Tim, is this. I think when we talk about the homeless problem, the homeless situation, we really have to focus on what we want to do about it, and not who's going to do it or when we're going to do it or whose doors we knock on, et cetera, as Tim has well pointed out. But I think we have to decide on how we approach this situation. And one of the things is, do we address the homeless problem in itself, or do we address the problems that lead to homelessness? And if we do the latter, which is the way that I think many people are thinking, then it's a never-ending situation, and there's no budget that can possibly address the situation as a whole. Did you have any comments?
The way we get problems solved in a hand-up is by identifying the major problems. And sometimes within the group of people that are there, they have the ability actually to give information that solves the problem. We have issues with PD, arresting homeless people, so we brought in the chief of police or somebody or other, and there's actually been less problems with PD, or bringing code enforcement because there's couches dumped on the street somewhere else, and Jamie Aldred actually talked to people in Public Works, and that problem got solved. So it was really about communicating within in the ebb and flow of our own days, that we solved the problem because we suddenly became aware of it because of the group that was sharing the issue. And I think it's kind of like untangling a ball of yarn. There's all these issues and concerns.
Peeling an onion that you
It's peeling an onion, but it's taking it's hearing each other's perspectives and saying, that's the piece I need to solve this problem, and then putting it there, and then that part of the problem kind of goes away. But I really hope that the conversation keeps going, because everyone in this room is part of the psyche in our community that eventually resolves some of these issues that we're all talking about. We have to keep that unity somehow, and I don't know how to do that, but that's why I say come to a hand-up meetings. In fact, our Ken Vogel is the most faithful of our county supervisor is there 11 out of the 12 meetings, and then we get his county perspective, and so we all get this lesson in civics, and the feedback is incredible, and anyway, it's kind of like family, and yeah.
And to build off that real quick, with Supervisor Vogel there, he's the one that will have part of the greatest impact on our ability to be able to get detox services or get county facility or county assistance for any detox. So that's, again, we will keep bringing that issue up with him at these meetings.
Two things we've got going against us. One is the economy. The federal government doesn't have money. The state doesn't have money. The county doesn't seem to have money. And I know the cities in the county don't have any money. So it's going to fall back on our shoulders to go out and hit the Walmarts, the Targets, the Lowe's, those people that come in here wanting to build a community and ask for their help and support. I really think that's where it's at.
Well, but Fran, see, my problem is this. What do we go to the Walmarts and these companies for? What do we ask them to do? Do we ask for more people like the ones that are sitting in front of you today? Or do we ask for a detox facility to address the situation where there's too much substance abuse going on? But if we start there, that is, as I think it was Dennis who pointed out, that's a never-ending problem. And we don't attack it by just attacking the problems of homelessness, because that's not the situation. If we want to attack the problems of homelessness, we would just get more people like you. But I don't think there are more people like you around. That's the problem. That is the problem. I think you're about it.
Can I make
Yes.
a statement to the, you made a great point, Bob, about an ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure. So if I'm an employee in this town, one of the things I'm responsible for is sober employment. Okay, one of the largest problems in employment today is finding sober people. That's why they got the HR process.
Right.
Well, and I know of companies that up and down Modesto, I travel up and down the state dealing with thousands of different companies. And one of the things that we found is that in different parts of California, they've had to bend the rules on HR because they can't hire anybody that can pass a drug test. So if we go to them and say, look, for sound employment, help us invest in sound employees by investing in a detox center. It's a win-win situation. They understand that.
It is, but what I'm saying is that that's a different problem than the problems we've been discussing generally in terms of homelessness.
But it leads to, like you said,
It could lead to
our
it.
good friend
Could
said,
lead to it. But it leads to other things as well.
Yes.
It leads to other things as well. The substance abuse problems that we face in this society.
Which is sorry, Bob, to interrupt, but that's why we would need another meeting in a few months. That's why everybody would have to go out and brainstorm. I mean, we wouldn't go to any of these corporations before we had a set game plan. you know, before we had a business plan. We might have to lean on some of the nonprofits really heavy. I mean, maybe what we need is for them to, you know, maybe pick a specific one of the nonprofits, and whatever our plan is to use that nonprofit to be the vehicle to get the plan going. You know, because if we can get the corporations to cut them a check, and, you know, and we can actually raise enough money to do something, then we might be able to make a dent, you know. And we might even be able to get some of these corporations to even, I know it's wishful thinking, but cut a check, like a yearly check, you know, be it $2,000.
Well, I think what you're saying is very commendable. The only problem is, and I think the key word there is money.
Right,
And we need a whole bunch of money, and no one seems to have it.
Right,
That's the problem.
right. But we're not gonna find it if we just sit here and wait for it.
That's true. That's true.
If I could interject, what I would like to offer is, again, the idea of bringing this back for further discussion at another meeting, but expand the audience to include representatives from Lodi Memorial Administration.
And the churches.
General Mills, and again, yeah, I was contacted by a couple of churches that aren't currently involved in outreach, but have plans to get into outreach, so it's a matter of, this is the time for them to, you know, get on board. So it's a matter of expanding this audience to the folks that are already doing it, but then also the folks that really need to jump on board to support you. So I'd look to try and do that here in the next, probably like January, February.
Is the season.
But if you can shoot me an email at jwood@lodi.gov, I'd be more than happy to include you in the broadcast list and keep you apprised. And the two words "thank you" don't say enough for you being here this evening and getting behind this, and for everything that you've done in this community. I've been here in Lodi now for over 15 years. I live and I have worked in Stockton. The community spirit that is in this community is just incredible. I don't see it.
Joseph, I echo that as part of this committee here. We echo that.
So it makes me proud to be involved here, and I'm very happy to be here in this community.
Bob, I would just like to say respectfully, I think I beg to differ with that this might be the only group of people that is willing to help. I really do feel like we just need a couple campaign managers. And I'm telling you that the businesses and the churches and the volunteers that you could rouse here, I think it's hopeful.
That's the most promising and hopeful comment that was made tonight.
Well, I think that those people are out there, and
I hope you're right.
oh, I believe I am.
Well, I know they're out there, but the question is, are they as enthused as you are to do what needs to be done?
All it has to be done is to infuse their spirit, and I believe that this group of people can do that.
Okay, I hope you're right.
This group has already grown from last year, believe me.
Yes.
It has.
Non-denominational, yes.
It has, very much so. Thank you all for being here.